and to continue keeping tabs on any developments that will be coming from the government in terms of the FINDRO arrangements. We'll be giving it to you here on KTN News, only the best way that we can. We shift gears now to matters education, the release of the KCSE 2021 examination results that will be taking place at the Mtihani House here in Nairobi. Let me bring in my colleague Shadrach Miti. Miti, today it was an unexpected move by the CS. Why do you think the CS decided to release the examinations today? I mean, no one expected that the examination results would be released on a weekend. We are used to examination results being released over the weekday, but maybe, we're just assuming maybe, that due to the situation the country is in right now, Ministry of Education decided to, get done with the issue of exams so that the country can focus on the developing story about the demise of the president. But any time from now, actually, the results are supposed to be released at 11. It's actually 11:46. And we are yet to get to hear from the man. The spotlight is on Education Cabinet Secretary Miti. So what time should we expect the results to be out? They were supposed to be out at 11. And why the decision to release it on a weekend?
Well, of course, we are expecting, just as we are, generally we are expecting that right now the proceedings should be on. But what we know, the CS is meeting some key stakeholders inside the NEC, that's the NEC offices, and we're expecting that any time from now we will be marching out of those offices to come and do what the country is waiting for. Ordinarily, this event has always begun at around 11, but today we do not know why it has taken that long. But it is a day of a lot of expectations, too many anticipations, and we know that this is a day when we are going to see results for about 800,000 candidates who sat the KCSE examination, know their performance and know how the next course of action, even as they plan to exit fully the basic education cycle. And so far we know that three things are happening. That already the CS, as has always been the tradition, he has briefed the president at State House, and now he's here fully preparing to come out of the NEC office so that he can now talk to the country and just to see what the candidates have and what stakeholders are expecting. But perhaps just to get a feel, even as we plan to come back to you, I want to engage some key stakeholders who are here already with us, just to get their feeling. We have KUPPET Secretary General Bwana Akelo Misori. Karibu sana on KTN. And today we are seeing for the first time the CS is going to release KCSE examinations result on a Saturday. As a long-term key stakeholder in the sector, why so, and what might have informed all this?
I think you remember earlier on the CS had already committed that the results for the KCSE was going to be released before the reopening of schools. And I think he has only lived to his earlier promise. But secondly, it is an indication that the Kenya National Examination Council has perfected the efficiency in terms of handling examination administration. So to us, I think this one is in the right direction, because he has removed the anxiety of the candidates who are expecting the results. And I think release of the results early is also an indication that nothing can change within a short while. Yes. Yeah.
Now, having looked at the trend in the past few years, we know the CS, before he took over the portfolio he's holding now, he was the chair of NEC. Then he moved in to become the CS. And we have seen how he has performed and the trend that the results have always taken in the past few years. What do we expect in this year, given that this is his last year of overseeing this and looking at the environment within which candidates serve the examination? As a teacher and as a key stakeholder, what do we expect on these 2 days?
As much as we may not be in agreement with the manner in which he has handled most things, but the aspect of efficiency must be lauded as a very positive ingredient of examination administration. But secondly, given that this is the final exams during the Jubilee administration, I think he wants also to show that during this period of time, the management of exams has been on the spot, and because our CS is somebody who is hands-on in administration, I think it's just proving to the rest that this is the way we need to run exams. Yeah.
And maybe your final word to the candidates, parents, guardians, even as they wait for this.
I think given that these results are coming early, I would wish to ask the parents to expose their children to other horizons of looking at life. So that before they go to further studies, for those who are going to the university, they should look at options of being computer literate for those who are not doing computer, and also to look at life skills, because life ahead is not a very simple life. Yeah.
And finally, we know this examination is being released just a day after we got the news of the demise of retired President Mwai Kibaki, who is famed for the introduction of free primary education, and although he did not actualize, but he began the process of free secondary education. Now there has been argument that the free primary education caused so much influx of a lot of students in public primary schools, and that compromised quality of examination. What is your take on that?
In fact, the bold approach that the late President Emilio Mwai Kibaki took to guarantee all Kenyans free education and also to increase the numbers in school is something which everyone must appreciate. And in fact, it will go in record and in history that this is the president who made Kenya to be transformed. It is better to have so many of our children in school than to leave them to waste outside there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to go back. Now, Brenda, the program is just about to start. As we are talking to Corporate Secretary General Kelo Misori, we saw the Basic Education Principal Secretary Dr. Julius Juan marching, which is an indication that the CS will be coming out anytime from now. And so thereafter we will see this program kick off officially, even as the country waits in high anticipation to see just how much those candidates managed to score in their examination. Brenda.
All right, Miti, just before I let you go, even as we wait for the CS to make his way to the podium and release the results, are we likely to see the ranking of schools and the top candidates, as has been the case? And this is something, owing to the fact that, again, this is something that the government has been trying to do away with as a way of curbing cheating.
Now, if the results of the KCP that were released a few weeks ago is anything to go, but then we may see that not really much considered. Remember, during the release of KCSE result, there was not very much of a ranking, although last year's examination we had some bit of ranking. And when that was done, there was some bit of outcry. And even the CS, in his release last year, he appeared to categorize public and private schools. But after much outcry, it appeared that when he was releasing the KCPE results, he avoided that. And so we are likely to see the same format that he took during the release of KCPE results repeated in this one, so that just to make sure that the sector is at peace and the sector is in tranquility. Because there have been arguments that by ranking, then it releases the essence, it defeats the essence of quoting equality and equity in terms of provision of education. And so we don't know, but we know in his last examination release, he has tried so much to move away from that. And if that is going to be to repeat again, we don't know. But we are likely to see a situation where he may just give us the overall performance of candidates, individual candidates, and maybe from which school and from which area or from which county or sub-county, but we may not see the situation of ranking schools if the outcry that have been there are anything to go by. Brenda.
In terms of cancellation of examinations, are we likely to see the numbers go higher than the previous years? Because during the KCSE examinations, while students sat for the papers, we saw several arrests being made.
When he was speaking to the media the last day of KCSE examinations, the CS was very categorical that anyone who was involved in malpractices, he was going to meet the full wrath of the law. And that meant that if at all one will be culpable in either aiding examination malpractice or participating in examination malpractice. For teachers, we know very well that at the end of the day, if they are found culpable, TSC will have a say of what will happen with them. And for candidates who may be culpable over engaging in malpractice, as it has always been the case before, then we know very well that most of them will be found guilty of having participated or actually done malpractices. Their results may be cancelled, and that again we will be waiting with a lot of anticipation to see what the CS is going to say. Remember, what we saw in this examination, there were so many mobile phones that were confiscated, and a few candidates were caught trying to cheat. Either they had some examination pictures in their phones, or others were found discussing the same examination in groups. And so how we know there are going to be cases where examinations themselves will be cancelled, but how many of those cases will be, we do not know. And if they will be higher than last year, we do not know. But at least we know, as it has always been the case, we are going to have some cases of cancelled results.
All right. Right, Miti. And lastly, I'd just like to pick your mind on this one. I mean, from the period the exams were over to this time that the results are being released, it's been a short period. Why the hurry in releasing the KCSE examination results?
I think it's all about creating and maintaining harmony in the sector. Remember, next Monday is when term 1 of 2021 is starting, and so we're expecting that when schools will be reopening, the CS is trying to ensure that next week is only dedicated to schools reopening for learning to resume. And so he had already indicated that by yesterday, or there were talks that by yesterday examination results will have been announced, but then we know what happened yesterday. And so I think what the government is trying to run away is trying to avoid the coinciding of this event and next week's another big event when we are going to see students going back to school. And so perhaps the CS wouldn't want to have a divided attention, that on the one hand is trying to see children going back to school, and on the other hand trying to manage the release of examination. So it's just a matter of balancing the act and making sure that things are running smoothly, even as we again wait for another busy week ahead.
Right, Shadrach Miti, I need to let you have a short breather, because I know all eyes will be on you, on the CS today, and we'll be working with you to give us the live coverage of what is currently happening at Mtihani House in Nairobi. But what you're seeing, our viewers on the screen, let me just remind you, it is the release of the KCSE 2021, not 2022, but 2021 examination results. And already we have seen the PS for Education, Julius Juan, is already seated, just waiting for the CS to make his way right there on the podium and release the results. We've also seen NAT Secretary General, KUPPET Secretary General. These are just some of the education stakeholders that we have spotted, and we've also, my colleague Shadrach Miti has managed to get an interview with KUPPET Secretary General Akelo Misori, just to pick his mind on the release of this year's, of last year's, actually 2021 KCSE examination results. So those are live pictures coming to you live from Mtihani House, courtesy of my colleague Shadrach Miti. There you have it also, the CEO of the Teacher Service Commission, sorry for that, Nancy Macharia, who's just taken a seat. A clear indication that the CS Professor George Magoha, the man of the day, the man of the moment, is already within Mtihani House building. And today is that day, a date between parents and the candidates who sat for the KCSE 2021 examination. They have a date with the CS today, because today he will be giving the candidates and their parents the results of their children, the candidates who sat for that examinations, and the mark between the period of marking and the period when the exams were done. It's such a short period, and Shadrach Miti has actually tried to explain to us why the CS has decided to release the examination results today. Remember that on the 3rd, the KCPE candidates will be reporting back to school, will be actually reporting to school. And also, as from Monday, we have other learners reporting to school. And so that is just the CS was trying to avoid. And President Uhuru Kenyatta definitely has already received the 2021 KCSE results ahead of the release. So before the CS releases the results, he has to give, the president an update and a copy of the results at State House ahead of the official release of the KCSE results. And definitely the president has also gone ahead to congratulate the Ministry of Education and NEC for delivering credible national examinations. But even as much as the president is talking about delivering credible national examinations, remember cases of exam cheating were reported during the KCSE examination period. We saw several arrests being made. Candidates were arrested, teachers were arrested, and the figures will be given, the breakdown will be given. When it comes to teachers who were arrested, that breakdown will be given by the TSC CEO. But also when it comes to the candidates who are arrested with mobile phones and in cases of exam cheating and also impersonation of candidates, that breakdown will also be given by Professor George Magoha as he will be releasing the KCSE examinations. And also the president has said, when he was being given the results, he said that the results have shown tremendous progress of day and sub-county schools. So this is also something that the CS will be talking about as he will be releasing the examination results. But just to confirm to you that the president received the results before the CS comes to tell the nation how the candidates have performed. So definitely today we'll also be seeing, some of the top performers, the schools that have performed well. Will some of the schools that performed during the previous examinations be the same schools that will be mentioned this year? It's just a wait and see in just a matter of few minutes when the CS will be releasing those results. We'll also be able to get to know some of the top performers over the 2021 KCPE examinations in terms of also the performance of the female and the male students, the top performing male students, the top performing female students, and also some of the subjects that have done well, and definitely also some of the subjects that students did not perform well will also be given a breakdown by the CS. And also just to confirm, as you can see, it's obvious that the results have been released today. The president has also received, the results from the CS before the results are released by the CS. Remember, these are the last results, not actually the last results, but the CS is releasing these results in the last, tenure of President Uhuru Kenyatta. So we'll be able to see how the students have performed. And during the release of the results, let me just give a point out of what the president said when he was being given the results by the CS. He pointed out that more resources should be channeled to the sub-counties and day schools as they are a lesser burden to parents, because this is also something that's in the forecast of the government as they talk about 100% transition from primary school to secondary schools, and also as the government works very hard in terms of free primary education and free day secondary school education, because the president says more resources should be channeled to the schools. The day schools are less of a burden to the parents and they are performing. So this is something that the president has confirmed. And he said this in the presence of Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i, Education Principal Secretary Julius John, who's also already at the Mtiani House, and the Teacher Service Commission, CEO Nancy Macharia, and also NEC Chairman John Onsati, and the Council's Executive Officer David Njengere. Yeah, I got it right, David Njengere. The names I've mentioned are some of the government officials who were at State House Nairobi today when the CS for Education, Professor George Magoha, gave the president a copy of the KCSE 2021 examination results. And so we're giving you this live broadcast from Mtiani House, courtesy of my colleagues Shadrach Miti and camera person who were already on the ground actually to ensure that we give you a live transmission. And here on KTN News, we'll ensure that we give you a good coverage only the best way that we can. Allow me to take a short breather, but I'll be right back with the live coverage of a KCSE 2021 examination results that are being released today, anytime from now, by the CS for Education, Professor George Magoha.